between the dog and the sprinklers. So I'm minding my own business. I'm like, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna get outside and what? Oh, do yard work and clean up. And I'm on a video with my subscribers, and somebody mentions like this woman from Myrtle Beach that evidently took her own life, and her husband was a preacher, and there's all this kind of stuff zipping around about it. And I was like, and I had heard she was from North Carolina, and I was like, I've got to look into this. So I sit down for a minute, and I'm back on again. And I was like, I should write about this. And then I was like, there's so much to unpack. And the problem with writing sometimes is that you can't elicit the emotion you want. This will blow your mind. And this is probably a reason I get sued, because I'm going to say something that, maybe he'll sue me about. But anyway, other people have said it. John Paul Miller is a pastor at Solid Rock Church. His wife, Micah Miller, who had filed for divorce in October, and just filed for something else maybe last week, and they had a court hearing June 5th, gets up in church last Sunday. Now, this service is done, but you can watch this blip because the church deleted it off their page. He gets up Sunday morning, and he's kind of like a Joel Osteen type, but he gives you the creeps. I actually like Joel Osteen. He gets up in church, he gives a sermon, he's talking and carrying on. Well, then at the end, he says this. This is Sunday morning. So his wife, she has died Saturday night. I'm going to pretend I'm him. I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building. I got a call last night that my wife had passed away. It was self-induced and up in North Carolina, and we are going to have a funeral for her next Sunday at 3 p.m. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally and that she needed medicine that was hard to get to her. WT triple F. What? You can watch that video. Honey, I've just started a video.
Do you have any allergy medicine? I have a headache.
I don't think I do. You can look up in that cabinet. Right above your head.
This one?
Yeah.
Does Aleve have?
Yes, Aleve is perfect. Take one Aleve.
Can you open it?
Yeah. Ah. There you go. So Seton Tucker is going to come on. She's going to come on this week, maybe Monday night. She was at a conference or something. So that happened Saturday night. Here's what, let's just go back to the beginning. She was 30 years old. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, going upstairs, honey. I've got my work to do and you've got your work to do. Micah was found Saturday night in North Carolina, which is where she was from. She was found at Lumber River State Park in Robeson County. And I'm going to read to you her obituary. Okay, because I think this is important. Okay, this is her obituary. Well, hell, where is the obituary? Oh, shoot. Hold on. Let me get it. You just watched the statement. Well, good. Because okay, here it is. Obituary for Micah Miller, 30 years old. Micah Miller, 30, of Myrtle Beach, passed away on Saturday, April 27th. She was born in 1994 in Wichita, Kansas. She is survived by her husband, Pastor John Miller, and her stepchildren. She was energetic, affirming, adventuresome, faithful, loving, giving, forgiving, talented, joyful, creative, assertive, bold, determined, authoritative, passionate, hardworking. Authoritative. So the husband wrote the obituary. One, who uses that many adjectives? And two, who puts that someone was authoritative in their obituary? If anybody puts that in my obituary, I would like you to egg their house. Now listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. She and JP have been friends since 2009. So, I took exploring with math in college, so we're going to do a little bit of math here. She was 30. They got to be friends when she was 14. And do you know how old he was? 29. Jackie, kiss my ass. 14 and 29. I have a daughter that's 14. She was just down here, getting in my business. If I said to you, my daughter Blair is hanging out with her friend John Paul, you'd be like, oh, does he go to her school? She's in the 8th grade. No. He's a pastor at our church. He's 29. They're good friends. You would be like, hello, groomer alert. Okay, so that's in the obituary. They got married in 2017. So when she was 21, they get married because he's a perv. And yes, go ahead and sue me, John Paul, because you're going to be in jail soon. Married in 2017 and spent almost every single day and night together. Micah loved her little dog. She loved outdoor activities. She was a great stepmother, an amazing wife and helpmate. Ain't nobody ever gonna call me a helpmate. She helped Pastor JP with the church in every way. Micah was the worship leader, graphics designer. She would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it wasn't true. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either. Micah loved her family so much. Are you freaking kidding me? Only estranged husbands compliment themselves when they write the obituaries. I forgot, Adrian, you only like it when you get compliments. That's right, Jackie. That's exactly right. That's a rule over here. Okay? So right away, Micah's friends were like, no, this is wrong. You stand up in church and you're like, I have an announcement. My wife took her own life. She had a hard time getting medicine. Maryland is what it was. He said, y'all knew that she wasn't mentally well, and that she needed medicine that was hard to get to her. She was probably the greatest wife anybody could ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours, just talking and talking and talking. She had some mental health struggles. She had struggled with suicide before, but each time we would get her through it and take her to the doctor, and we got through it and everything was fine. She battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it. So here's what her friend says. This is one of her best friends. She posts on Facebook. I will not sit here and pretend that I know what happened on Saturday, but I know a lot. She had had mental health issues, and I witnessed her struggle, but I also know that in the last few months, this has been used as a weapon to control her. The Micah I was seeing was a grown woman trying to break the chains of an abusive marriage. When I talked to her last on Saturday night, she was making plans, moving forward, and trusting God. She had reconnected with people she had been isolated from, myself included. She was sorting out her new normal. When we had our first meeting in years, we sat at lunch and talked till dinner time. We've been in regular communication since that day. No, I was just quoting him. Where's the biological mother of these children? I was wondering. Listen to this. I was part of Micah's church for years. We did life together during that season. Leaving that church was one of the hardest things Brian and I ever did. We endured relentless attacks from the pastor, John Paul Miller. It was unlike anything we had ever experienced. There were attempts to sabotage us in our new home. Calls were made to employees. Dropping in at my place of business in the middle of my workday when I refused to answer calls. Emails that were rants in writing. You can't say all ministers are bad. I mean, that's nuts. We're not going to make grand statements like that. I mean, that clearly. I mean, that, yes, some are bad. Some of everybody is bad. But we're not going to say that as a blanket. I mean, no. She wasn't just leaving a church. She was leaving her marriage. She was done. She had hired a lawyer. She had moved out and was getting a divorce. Women are in most danger when they're trying to leave. If you are in an abusive relationship, I know you're scared. Because I've heard from people just like you. And this is why you're scared. He won't let me get out alive. She had had her tires cut multiple times, found multiple trackers on her car, couch hopped in fear of being found, and was hospitalized by her husband when it was completely unnecessary. She confided to me that she felt like an orphan. My final text with her was on Friday at 9:19 p.m. And it was a woman making plans to live. She was planning to meet us for the second service at church on Sunday and had just paid her divorce lawyer. Lindsay Bean, also a friend of hers, said, we watched a grown man groom a young member of the church for years. We watched him take absolutely everything from her. We watched him destroy her mentally. We watched him destroy his own family during the process. So he was married before with 5 children. And when he got to be friends with Micah, who was 14 and he was 29, the first marriage dissolved, right? And he appears to have groomed Micah and then marries her when she's 21. We have watched him play God over a congregation for a decade. He is a true wolf in sheep's clothing, says Lindsay Bean. He has stayed untouchable. He has put himself at the top of everything and has gotten away with all of his wrongdoings. I am so sorry, Micah Miller. You deserved better. You deserved our help and our love. I will carry this guilt forever, knowing I should have done so much more. We have to bring this man down from the pulpit. Hashtag justice for Micah. I think the more we talk about this in social media, the more the police get involved and look and don't believe him. I think when you have a narcissistic abuser, they think they can just get away with something and move on about their business. And no. You don't write an obituary where you say, Micah loved her family so much, she would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world. Only a narcissistic man could be that stupid. Putting that in the obituary is, you're like, well, hello, I'm guilty. Like, did you not think anybody was going to care about her enough to be like, you were getting divorced. She didn't like you. You groomed her as a child and left your family to marry her. She was getting away from you. John Paul Miller, you're not coming out of this. Your Fanny is going to end up in prison, and that's where you're going to sit forever. And now your children aren't going to have you around. And he goes on to say this. So this month, she filed for divorce on October 23. This month, she had filed for separate support and maintenance, and the hearing was scheduled for June 5th. Her husband says this to a news outlet. If you see any type of sign, get them to a doctor. I mean, the second you see it, don't wait. Well, here's what I would say. If you see any type of sign that your friend or your daughter or your sister or your mother or you are in a marriage out like this, ask for help. Ask for help. And I know it's scary, but ask for help. Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach. She died, she was shot in the head. And, he did his sermon, his regular sermon on last Sunday. And then at the end said, I have an announcement. My wife passed away. She did it to herself. Y'all know she had mental problems and she was having trouble getting her medicine. I lost my own brother to cancer. There's nobody to be mad at, right? Like it's not a suicide Sally. So I'm not even calling it that. She was shot in the head. It was not a suicide. It wasn't. And if it were my sister, and she's from a big family that loves her, I honestly have no idea how you couldn't go over there. Anyway, I'll get banned. My husband is sworn off on me. We get sleeping with the enemy. Yes. So John Paul Miller, we're watching you. Micah's funeral is tomorrow in Myrtle Beach at 3 p.m. And one of my subscribers is going. If I didn't have 500 children, I think I would go. But I hope people go, and I hope he is not allowed to talk. And I hope today people let him know through the power of social media, as everybody is out there talking about this, that he's not getting away. Oh yeah, he's a pastor. Oh no. No, he's alive and kicking for right this second. Anyway, justice for Micah Miller.